when you have an application where you want to measure heat flux, the first thing you should ask yourself, what are the typical expected heat flux and temperature ranges? And that's important because so our products, basically you can measure single watts per square meter of energy, and they go up to 1 million watts per meter squared. Then of course, so the type of heat flux, so is it conduction, is it radiation, is it convection, is it a combination of all three? And the third question you should ask yourself, what are the environmental requirements? Where am I going to be using this sensor? Is it outdoor, indoor? Is it in a moist condition? Is there any industrial applications like chemical, pressure? And the final point is integration. What kind of output do you need? Heat flux sensors generally output a small millivolt signal, which you will need to transfer into a system that's usable by your data acquisition. Okay, so I will go through the Hukx Flux product line to explain what different heat flux sensors we offer and in which case what they are used for. So our heat flux sensors are basically separated in three main categories. The first one is thin heat flux sensors. These are the very general purpose heat flux sensors. You can just take them and they're very small, you put them anywhere you want. They're also often applied in systems combined with other measurements. As the second class of heat flux sensors is what we call water-cooled heat flux sensors. Sensors measured to measure radiative heat flux. They are often used in experiments with fires and flames. In those kind of situations, measurements are often done according to international standards. So very strict protocol of how many sensors you should use, which one you need. It's a very standardized measuring world. And our third range of heat flux sensors are what is called the industrial sensors. They are designed for robustness, to survive in conditions with high temperatures, or conditions where you work in explosive environments, for example. So I'll zoom in on these different categories. Let's start with the thin heat flux sensors. These are the main models, the main specifications. You have FHF 01, 02 and 03. And then those are already recent models. And then the HFP 01, HFP 03, which have been in our catalogus for a long time. So you see they come in different sizes. The FHF 03 is the smallest one. HFP 03 becomes rather large. The sensitivity, so how much volt do these instruments generate for a single watts per square meter, varies widely. You see these basically range from 2 to 6 microvolts per watt per square meter. The HFP 01 has a value of 60, and the HFP 03 is really designed for a very high sensitivity. Now these are fixed, rigid instruments. The plastic-based FHF models, they have some bendability, so they're slightly flexible. They can be bent. And then another feature, which I will explain a little bit later, is in the HFP 02 and in the HFP 01, there is a self-test version available. So the story we tell when we talk about our heat flux sensor range is we have this FHF 03, which we consider a step-in model. It's very small, it's affordable. If you've never worked with heat flux before, it's a great instrument to start with. The standard model we like to sell is the FHF 02. It has everything you need from a heat flux sensor. It packs all the features. And the FHF 01 is basically only to be used when the extra flexibility is required, because it's slightly more flexible than the FHF 02. Now these heat flux plates, the HFP 01s, they are used for very specific applications where the fluxes are generally very low. If you have low heat flux, that means the voltage output will also be low. And sometimes the sensitivity of the FHF range is not sufficient. And the two classical applications are in building physics, thermal transitors of walls, and in soil heat fluxes, where heat fluxes in both applications generally range like 5, 10, sometimes 20 watts per square meter. Well, the HFP03 is a very specific instrument, and you really only use that if even the HFP01 is not giving you enough sensitivity. Okay, let's go to the water-cooled heat flux sensors. Basically, we run 3 different models. Our SPG01 model, our GG01 model, which look very similar. You see the GG01 is based on copper body. And the difference between these instruments is the SPG01 starts at heat fluxes of 5,000 watts per square meter up to 200,000 watts per square meter. And where that range ends, the guarding gauge range begins. And that extends the measurement range for radiative heat fluxes up to 1,000,000 watts per square meter. These sensors are standardized at 1 sensor diameter, like a 1-inch diameter. And of course the sensitivity scales in the opposite with the measurement range. So the higher the measurement range, the lower the sensitivity becomes. The third model of a water-cooled heat flux sensor is the HFS01. That also extends up to 800 kilowatts per square meter. But this one is completely metal, and all the parts in this sensor instrument are able to withstand temperatures of up to 900 degrees Celsius. So this one is used in very industrial heavy applications like solar concentrators. The SPG01, GT01 are more laboratory-based instruments. So again, to summarize in a story, the SPG01 is the main model, widely used in many standard experiments all over the world. GG01s are designed for extremely high fluxes. They extend the measurement range. They come with a standard thermocouple, and they also have an option of a sapphire window, which allows you to separate radiation and convection again. And the HFS01 is generally used when you go out of the laboratory into industrial environments. So finally, to zoom in on the industrial heat flux sensors, again there's 3 main models, IHF01, IHF02 and HF05. The first 2 have a measurement range of -30 to +900 degrees Celsius. So they are industrial in the sense that they are completely full metal instruments. There is no glues, no soldering connections. The detector technology is very robust. The IHF01 has a very low sensitivity. The 02 has a somewhat higher. And both these instruments come standard with 2 cables. So they start with a high temperature cable, which is also able to extend extremely high temperatures. And then with a coupler stuck, the coupler piece, they can be extended to low temperature cables. Now the HF05 offers a lot more sensitivity, but it only has the low temperature cable, and the detector technology itself is limited to 170 degrees Celsius. So the story of our industrial heat flux sensors, designed for robustness. You use the IHF02 when the IHF01 sensitivity is insufficient. So the IHF01 is basically a cleaner sensor. It offers the most accurate measurement, but you lose a lot of sensitivity. HF05 is only suited for applications where the temperatures do not reach these high values of more than 170 degrees. Now, industrial heat flux sensors is a very complex environment. and it's very different in the thin heat flux sensors, and these are not general purpose sensors. So what we find is that the use of industrial heat flux sensors is very application specific. Every customer will have different requirements for mounting, cabling, signal handling. So there is a lot of option and customization that comes to selling an industrial heat flux sensor. So if you want to know more about heat flux, I've listed some resources. We have some videos on our YouTube channel. We have published a lot of white papers and notes on heat flux. The brochures and manuals of our products contain a lot of information. And if you have any questions left, you can always contact us. So thank you very much for your attention.